Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. I thought in this video we will go over a bunch of vehicles that are on sale for the Chinese Lunar New Year. Now, to start off, there are a bunch of starter packs that are on sale, and also, if you feel like purchasing anything, I've left some links in a pinned comment that will take you to all of the packs that are on sale, and also give you the partner link as well, so you can support the channel and also get the decal in the game, which you can see over here. So basically, there is a ton of starter packs on sale. Starter packs are always worth purchasing. They are bundles of 2 low-tier premiums. Some of them aren't premiums, but most of them are, and also they're super cheap. You get 7 days of premium account too, which is fantastic, and also some SL as well. Some of the best ones are the German Beginners Pack, because you get the JU87, which is just a standard copy of the JU87, but you also get this monster, which is the SDKFC 140/1. It has a 20mm autocannon, it has access to HVAP, it's able to pen pretty much anything it faces, and it's really powerful. Another very, very good one is the British one, where you get access to the Crusader, the Saint, which is a rank 2 light tank, meaning that it's good for rank 1, 2, and 3 to research, and also get scouting. You also get access to a pretty good Spitfire in the form of the Venture 1, which is a copy of the Mark II. The other one, which I think is worth having a look at, is the Chinese one, because you get access to the M3A3 First PTG, which is, once again, a very good light tank at 2.7 with scouting, and then also the H81A2, which is another vehicle which is very fun to play, especially since it gets quite a nice secondary armament. But as I said, all of the secondary packs are good. There isn't a single one which is bad, and it is worth picking up pretty much all of them if you want to start a tech tree, or even if you want just vehicles that are very good in the game. Also, at the same time, when it comes to the pages of history stuff, a lot of these kind of light vehicles or starter vehicles end up in the pages of history. So it gives you something else to kind of grind out as you go through. So let's get started on the other vehicles that are available. The first set are for the Snake Charmer bundle. This is for the ZTZ96AP and also the A5C. The ZTZ96AP is one that you can see right here. Basically, it is a premium version of the ZTZ96A, which is right here. The only real difference between these two vehicles is, first of all, the camera is in a different place in the hangar. No idea why. But the only difference is that the 96AP gets these dazzlers right here. These are an electro-optical active protection system. They're pretty much useless against everything that you face, so the difference is negligible between the two things. Everything else is basically the same. You can see here that they have the same modifications and same setup, same rounds and everything. So if you have time in the ZTZ96A, then the P is also going to be very good. The armor profile is generally fine for a 10-3 vehicle. The mobility is where this vehicle kind of gets let down in terms of its speed around the place, but its targeting speed is surprisingly good for this type of vehicle. You can see here the horizontal is actually great. You can whip around the gun very well, and with its low profile, the vertical aiming isn't as bad of a worry. It also has a very good round. The 1985 APF SDS will pen pretty much anything you run into. It has thermals, smoke grenades, and also a laser rangefinder package, which is really nice. The only thing I would say that this thing is missing is an LWS, but generally you will have just a fantastic time with this. And at 10.3, you have access to a very good lineup. You have the ZTZ96A, for example. You also have access to the Antelope, the Zibidi, which comes in as well, which is a fantastic light tank. And also you could bring in the QN506 if you also have that vehicle. So there is a bunch of options now for 10.3, and since 10.3 and 10.7 are premium BRs, you will play a lot at these BRs, and the harshest up tier will be against Type 90s, which the ZTZ can deal with. It's definitely a rough matchup, but at least you're out of the top tier matchmaking. So I'd say the ZTZ's in a nice place. I would recommend it. I think it's a very good vehicle and will grind you through the vast majority of the tech tree, since it is a rank 7, it means that you'll research all the way through to rank 8 at full efficiency. The next vehicle is the A5C, and this one definitely isn't in as good of a place as it was previously, basically because a bunch of vehicles got moved down in BR, which left the A5C kind of on an island between two areas. If it gets down tiered, it does really well. If it gets up tiered, it doesn't do as well. That's pretty much how it goes. Some vehicles fare okay in up tiers, the A5C really isn't that. It has a bunch of kind of limitations which make it a little bit harder to play, such as only having 18 large caliber countermeasures and also only having 2 missiles. Even though the missiles themselves are really strong, you know, it has access to magic wands, and you can also bring along some incendiaries, so you can hit a base and then go after with the magics, and also, you know, the general flight performance. These things are generally what people will do in this machine. So what you'll do is you'll take the incendiaries, and then you'll take this loadout here. So this means that you can use the speed of the vehicle to hit a base, and then you can use the magics to be able to fight. Now, this thing doesn't maneuver very well. It's quite fast in a straight line, but don't expect it to turn. If you start turning, you won't be able to continue, and you'll have a really rough fight with it. So the best thing to do with the A5C is to actually catch people off guard with the magic wands, and then after that, kind of reset. If there's a dogfight going on, try and set up for it with the guns. The vehicle itself only has 23mm, which are very poor. So overall, you're not really getting a lot out of this machine. It does actually have access to an RWR at least, so you will know if there are targets around your area. This is the area where semi-actives start becoming pretty good, so people start using them. So it's quite nice to know that they're coming in. But generally, I think you could just run like 4 flares on this, and therefore it's going to make those countermeasures go a little bit further than they were before. This vehicle does have access to CCIP for everything, so if you want to use it in ground forces, it's a little bit easier compared to some other vehicles, but I would say this is more of an aerialistic kind of vehicle instead of a ground. In ground, it is a lot lower though, and you can run it with the 10-3 lineup, so obviously that's quite nice. It's just the bomb loads themselves are quite limited in terms of what you can bring, so that's why I'm not huge on this vehicle. The J7D is exactly the same BR as the A5C, but is fundamentally better in pretty much every way from an aerialistic point of view. So this is part of the Serpent's Rising bundle, which is the different bundle. Remember, with these bundles, you can get decals, you can get titles, you can get additional things, which are quite nice. The J7D is very similar to the J7E, apart from the fact it is more like a MiG-21 and less like a unique Chinese vehicle. But it does have access to the good old Shenyang Liming WP-13 FI. It also has access to the 23mm, the Type 23-3. This is not a very good gun, so you want to rely on your missiles instead of the gun for fighting. You also do have quite a lot of secondary things with the pilot. The main stuff is, of course, the RWR, and then also you have the radar, but this one is not a good radar. It's a very small one and doesn't really do anything. So this vehicle is very fast. It's very similar to MiG-21 BISs, but a little bit different in terms of its setup, and it also gets access to PL7s, which are magic wands. These are magic wands, just with a different name. It's kind of the export version of it. You have the PL5Bs, which are insane when it comes to going after targets. These things ignore flares all the time, but they're one of the only IR missiles that you can find at this BR which just do not care about flares, and you can bring 4 of them. You also have PL2s, don't bother with them, they're just bad. So you either pick the PL7s or you pick the PL5Bs, or you do kind of a mix and match. You can see by the general stats, the PL7s are better, but as I said, sometimes the PL5Bs just decide countermeasures aren't a thing, so it's well worth a consideration to actually take these things. You do technically get some other secondary loadouts, but they're not very good. And I wouldn't play this as like a bomber. I wouldn't play this to like hit bases or play it in ground. This is just a vehicle to take into air, to bring along your missiles, you know, take 4 of them and use this thing very aggressively to be able to get kills. It's a really, really good platform for that. It also has access to countermeasures and also access to additional fuel if you need it, which I don't think you will at the end of the day. This vehicle, because of its speed and because of its countermeasures, can put you in some situations which will make you very strong. The only thing it doesn't have is all-aspect missiles, but that's generally fine. If you are in kind of head-ons with vehicles, it's not too hard to get away from it and, use your countermeasures to pull away and then reset for the PL7s. And yeah, you can just have a really good time with this thing. It also does have some additional camos, which is quite nice, which make it look very nice, especially with some of the secondaries like this, the AVIC, which you will find on the marketplace. The other part of the Serpent Rising bundle is the Khalid. The Khalid is a big upgrade over the ZTZ96, which is the other premium that's on offer. The biggest upgrade is the reverse and also general mobility. It has a much stronger engine and also it has a much better transmission, so you're able to fly about the place at a much better click. It still has the 7.1 second reload. This is the standard one for these types of vehicles and means that you get out reloaded by pretty much everything nowadays, which sucks. It does get access to a better round as well, the DTC-10-125, which is a very good APF SDS for the 125mm. Also gets access to a funny HEVT that you can use to donk helicopters. You also have NVDs, the good old smoke grenades, and the laser rangefinder, which is really nice too. The one thing that doesn't really change is the targeting speed on the gun, and this can catch a lot of people out, especially since you're getting into BRs now, where you can actually get into the top tier matchmaking with this thing, get into 12-0s, or even at your BR where there's a lot of Type 90s, Abramses, Leopards, all of these things, which have really, really fast targeting speeds. So you have to be very careful when you're fighting these things, because they will usually get the shot off first at you, so you've got to be super careful. It does have smoke grenades. The ERA, I suppose, is quite nice, but there isn't any on the top of the roof, and that means that you are very susceptible for getting donked by CAS at this BR, which makes it one of the most annoying experiences when, you get hit. Quite a few vehicles actually do have some protection on the top here, but this vehicle is not one of them. Doesn't have really anything, so you can even go through this when you have 20mm worth of penetration on a gun, and that makes it really annoying sometimes to play. Does use the FY2, which is one of those, which is a hybrid ERA, which is good against APF SDS and also chemical, but at the same time, it still has the same weak spots that you see before. I will say on the front, it does have some weird angles, so what can end up happening where you hit this and then it has the sheet below it, and then it also has this too, so sometimes you do have to aim in very specific ways to take it on. But the vehicle itself as a premium will work well. I really think the ZTZ96AP is in just a better position than this, just because of its matchmaking at the moment. So the Khalid isn't a bad vehicle, it'll work really well. It's just not what I would class as a fantastic pickup as a higher BR premium. The Type 69 2A is also back. This one is just here for a limited time, so if you want to pick it up, they usually bring it back like once or twice a year, and it's pretty similar to the Type 69 which you see here, slightly better in a few ways, which is why it's a little bit higher in BR. But basically what this vehicle has is it has the good old heat FS, it has the smoke grenades, it has the laser rangefinder, and this means that you can target vehicles pretty quick with it, which is quite nice. Not everything has a kind of stabilizer around this BR, which this one does. It has the stabilizer and the laser rangefinder combo, which kind of makes it a little bit more fun. The difference between them is basically the cannon. The Type 69 has this weird APF SDS, which is actually worse than its heat FS, and it also has the laser rangefinder, which makes it quite fun at its BR because of the fact that not many other vehicles have it. But the Type 69 improves the gun and, makes it a little bit better. Now, at 8.3, when we have a look at something like the Type 69, you can see it does have some friends. You have the ZTZ59D1, which is kind of comparable to it, and then also the PGZ09. So you do have a pretty decent lineup with the TOW in space too. But it's a rank 5. It's not a rank 6 vehicle, so you only get the rank 5 bonus instead of the rank 6 like the T62. So this means that you can only efficiently research up to rank 6, whereas the T62 can efficiently research up to all of rank 7, which just makes it a much better prospect in terms of what it has access to. So for me, the Type 69-2A is a good vehicle, but it's one of those which misses out in terms of its research, and also that 100mm gun, if you get up tiered, which 9.3 is very strong right now, especially for the Soviets and especially for the Germans, and the 9.0 and 8.7 bracket also is pretty powerful, you're going to get up tiered a lot into it, and you're going to have some pretty rough issues in terms of what you're fighting. So for me, this probably isn't the best pick, just because of those factors right now. You also have the T62 number 545. This vehicle is pretty good. It's very similar to one that I just researched, or finished spading, I should say, the Turan 6 for the Israelis. I've always had a good time in T62s. I generally feel like their gun is pretty nice, the 115mm. Even though you get a little bit of extra reload compared to others, you also do a bit of extra damage, which is quite nice. I usually use the 3BM4 because it has more angled pen than it does direct pen, so it just means that you can go through targets more. You get artillery, you get, pretty much the bog standard stuff, but you don't get some of the additional systems that others do. So in terms of secondary armaments, you only have a 7.62mm. You don't have a gun on the top. You don't get smoke grenades, so you only have ESS. And at the same time, your lineup at this BR is pretty much non-existent anymore. They up-BR'd pretty much everything from a Chinese point of view. You can see it's all at 9.0 now. The ZTZ-88s, the PTL-02, the AFT, the PTZ-89, and also the T69-2G and the WMR. So basically, you have to run this as a sole carry. And it can solo carry, but I just feel like there are a lot of vehicles right now which are in much better spaces to actually do that, such as the ZTZ-96AP. So is this T62 good? Yes, the T62 is fantastic. It's very fun to play. It's something that I have, enjoyed quite a lot over the years in terms of, playing the different vehicles. You can see here, this is my general play in the other T62s. I haven't played this T62 in maybe like 5 to 6 years, which is crazy, right? But if we have a look at, if I can actually find it, because I don't know what its name is, but basically the other T62s you generally do pretty good in as well. Like you have the Object 122 here, which is basically a T62 on how you play it. Then you have the T62 here. These are my standard stats in it. And then also you have stuff like the Turan 6, which for some reason just isn't showing. So there we go. So you have the Turan 6, where this is the most recent stats in it. So the vehicle is positive. It does well. It does really good. 2-to-1s, very positive win rate, very nice BR. The question is, can you play it by itself? And that is the real question. I can, and I feel confident with it, but the question is, are you confident with it? As always, though, I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank GMG Smiley, CD Beans, Chieftain Mike, EMN3 Galaxy, Tulio Pontecorvo, Brendan Quinn, Carrion Crow, Gus Irenicus, Pyman, Wartinder, Teddy, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young, Ozzy Panzer, Alan Hacker, Liam Shear, Opium Prime, Lafouche, Sem, Aslan, Uncle Bean, and Derek R. for supporting the channel.